Hello and welcome back to another Underestimate and to another edition of Smackdown Out of 10. Last week's show saw Drew McIntyre win the World Championship from Cody in a 3 stages hell match, but there's no rest for the record. Nick Aldis has already set up a tournament to decide his challenger. 4 matches took place, and with the winner going on to face McIntyre for the title at the Rumble. And we kick things off with the usual shots of the superstars arriving in London before we got a recap of what happened in the 3 stages of hell match. Back in the arena, a group of bagpipe players were on stage to play McIntyre to the ring and celebrated with some people in the front row. He had the crowd chanting his name. It looked like he might get more of a babyface promo, but turned on the crowd and said they'd never been there for him when it counts. He also revealed Cody would not get a rematch per stipulation. He's stuck in their contract. This is what Orton came out to remind McIntyre that he'd beaten him before and could do it again. Fatu showed up and went right after the WWE champion. They fought at ringside and a news Viper watched from the ring. Fatu chased McIntyre through the crowd, allowing Miz to sneak in behind Orton with a skull-crushing finale. McIntyre remaining in heel was expected, both the expected route call for him to take. WWE could have turned him babyface, but he operates better as a heel and his promo was good, and it led to the first match, which came up between Orton and the Miz in the first 4 qualifying matches. The A-list had the advantage, taking out Orton before the break, but Randy wasn't going to go down easily. The match started during the break and saw the Miz maintain control until Orton nailed him with a pair of clotheslines and snap powerbomb. He dropped the A-lister on the announce table 3 times, hitting a draping DDT. The Viper scored the winner with his patent in RKO to end a entertaining and predictable match. These two have been working together for years, so they built enough chemistry to have a good match in their sleep. And overall, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Before, Drew McIntyre was still shown running from Fatu when he ran into Ilya backstage, and after a brief exchange, we then saw Uncle Howdy delivering a pre-tape promo about the MFT stealing Bray Lantern. As we then moved on to the next match, Bliss and Charlotte had a quick run-in with Lash Legends and Nia Jax before they went to the ring for a tag match against Julia and Kiana James. James and Bliss talked a little trash before the Goddess took James down with a few strikes. The US champion and her advisor took control. The show went to a break. It felt more competitive than in previous encounters, which benefited the match. James and Julia are definitely more aggressive than they have been in recent weeks. There was a couple of spots that didn't look great, but most of what we got was good. Unfortunately, the aggression didn't equal a win. The former tag champs were able to secure the victory thanks to Bliss hitting James with Sister Abigail. Legends and Jax came out and attacked the winners when it was over. James was going to go for Jax, getting involved in her business, but James talked her out of it and physically held her back. And yeah, which makes sense. Obviously, we can build that for the future weeks. And overall, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Solo then responded to Uncle Hardy's video with his own pre-tape promo, saying he wants a tag shot for the MFT to get the Lantern back. When we returned, Cody was in the ring talking about losing the championship and what's next. The London crowd gave him a mixed response, which keen to catch him off guard. Some fans were chanting and saying, others booed. The American Nightmare said his reign had become episodic, which is a nice way of saying it was repetitive. He gave his usual rah-rah kind of speech, saying he was entering the Rumble with the intention of winning it 3 times in a row. He also spoke about owning Fatu a receipt for what he did last week, which obviously makes sense. I'm looking forward to seeing Cody in the Rumble. I don't think he'll win, but it'll be intriguing. Before we know the next qualifying match, Cardona taking on Trick. This was an interesting combination because Trick's new to the main roster while Cardona's trying to re-establish himself. They started with a basic lock-up and a clean break. Williams took a bit of a cheat shot, so Cardona planted him in the corner for some punches. Once Trick Willie had the upper hand, he started talking trash while he was dishing out punishment. A pretty even matchup. There was obviously a difference in experience, but both men brought a lot of similar qualities to the table, so they were able to put together a match that was enjoyable. It was hard to tell who would win because both men had the same to advance the tournament, and unpredictably always makes it more interesting. The former Zack Ryder put up a good fight, but Williams advanced. For some reason, Wilson came out and attacked Cardona, posing for some antics, which is intriguing. We'll have to see where that goes. Overall, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Wilson was still in the ring and delivered a quick promo saying he was the solution to the toxic masculinity problem. Fatu came out and took him out with a few of his signature moves before telling Rose to get some. The American Nightmare showed up and they started throwing hands. Security broke them up and Nick Aldis booked them to battle next week at Saturday night's main event. Can't wait for that. Before we got Sakura and Priest in another one of the qualifying matches. As usual, the rest of the MFTs were by solo side. Both of these guys are powerhouse brawlers, so it didn't take long for them to start throwing strikes. Priest found himself being attacked by the MFTs when Sakura had the ref distracted before the break. We returned to see the Archer of Infamy still being dominated by the Street Champ. The 2 previous matches didn't feel like they were big stakes, but Sakura and Priest did a good job making it feel like an important match for them. These two always work well together. The ref caught Talatonga cheating and boosted him from the ringside area. Sakura was preparing to finish Priest off. The lights went out in the arena. The Wyatt Six appeared behind the MFTs and began a huge brawl at ringside. Sakura stopped Hardy from taking the Lantern, but the distraction allowed Priest to hit his finisher for the win. Overall, I'll give it 7 out of 10. We then got Carmelo Hayes versus Leon Slater for the US title. Obviously, Slater's from the UK, so he got a warm welcome. The bloke was up and immediately started trading counters and takedowns at a brisk pace. Hayes had a slight size and power advantage. They seem to be on even ground for the speed and agility. This is the first time the two have ever shared the ring. It looked like they've been working together for years. They have instant chemistry thanks to their similar abilities. Hayes appeared to land funny on his left leg, but continued the match. They wore each other out, and by the time commercial break was over, both men were looking worse for wear. Once again, the US title stole the show Friday night. Hayes proved he's one of the more reliable workers on the roster, but the past few weeks have cemented him as one of the best all-round in WWE. Hayes continues sadly injured though, but they fought through it and managed to beat the young X Division champ to retain his US title, turning the suplex into a cutter for the win. Great stuff, 8 out of 10. As we then moved on to Chelsea Green taking on Jordan Grace. Fire was Green's backup. The Juggernaut immediately took control and hit a nice delayed vertical suplex as Cargill watched from ringside. This is a short match and Grace won clean with her finisher. Cargill did not look impressed. The Juggernaut got on the mic and challenged Cargill to defend her title right there and then. Green tried to attack Grace from behind but ended up crashing into Cargill instead, which gave Green a chance to pose with the title before tossing out the champ. Overall, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. As we then moved on to our main event, Sami Zayn versus Ilya Dragunov in the final of the qualifiers. Zayn got the match firing by firing a forearm strike, and Dragunov was more than happy to respond with strikes of his own. The Mad Dragon took control and kept Zayn on defence for a long time, but the underdog from the underground hit a suplex out of nowhere to turn things around. The best part of the match was that it felt completely different from their last encounter, working hard to make it feel like both men were fighting for their lives. Zayn is a lauded veteran and Ilya is one of the best young stars, so you shouldn't be surprised to hear how they put on a great show. After a great back and forth, they saw both men close to winning a few times. Zayn was able to get the win with a Haluva kick, which makes sense because I think he will be one of the favourites to win. 8 out of 10. And overall, Smackdown show did a good job of juggling multiple storylines. Hayes and Slater put on a great match, as did Zayn and Dragunov. And that fatal four-way looks incredible. It had a couple of weak spots, but it was a decent way to spend a few hours on a Friday night. So yeah, overall 6 out of 10. That's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Follow us on our socials. Link in the description below for daily wrestling news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now. That'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.